Hello everyone, it's Zenith20 back again. Today's video will be a fundamental one because we'll be discussing about arrays and how we'll handle it in Visual Basic. So first of all, what are arrays? Arrays are like a list of related items or a collection of multiple values that you can organize and access easily. Each stored item has an index number that you can use to access the value in the array. Arrays can be one-dimensional or multi-dimensional. In other words, this means that it is a nested array or an array of multiple arrays. The items in an array can be of any data type, just like a variable. They can be numbers, characters, or strings. You can also make an array with a fixed size or length, meaning that the number of elements cannot be changed. Or you can make it dynamic, meaning that the number of elements can be changed. We'll discuss the types of arrays. Arrays are mainly classified by the dimensions. There are one-dimensional or multi-dimensional arrays. One to three-dimensional arrays are most commonly used in programs. One-dimensional arrays are like a bookshelf. Just like a one-dimensional array can store data in a single row or column, with each element being a single value, a bookshelf similarly stores books in a single row. Now, in two-dimensional arrays, they are organized like a chessboard. Just like a two-dimensional array can store data in rows and columns, with each element representing a combination of 2D coordinates, a chessboard has both horizontal and a vertical dimension, with each coordinate representing a spot on the board. Now, three-dimensional arrays are like a cube. Just like a three-dimensional array can store data in rows, columns, and layers, with 3D coordinates, a cube has three dimensions: length, width, and height, with each coordinate representing a spot on the cube. To create an array in Visual Basic, we'll follow the same pattern as we did for creating a normal variable. Here I have a variable named rint, and it will be a variable that's created of characters instead. So to create an array variable, we have seen that now we have to use the curly braces. This kind of format is known as array literal, where you are literally by means defining the array instead of accessing each and every position in the array. Currently, we have a dynamic array as we have not specified the bounds in the or the length of the array. The bounds go into the parentheses, which are known as the array modifiers. So we can have two items in this array or two elements in this array. Now to access these items, we simply write the name of the array followed by the close parentheses again. In that, you will write the index. The index of the array is zero based, which means that the counting of the numbers start from zero instead of from one. So the length of this might look to you as 2. However, the computer counts it as 0, 1, and 2. So the position of the array in position of A in this array is 0, whereas the position of B in this array is 1. So if I want to access B in this array, I'm going to type 1, not 2, because the index is 0 based. If we run our program, you can see that we have B as the given value. Now, let's give our array some bounds, or in other words, a fixed length. You know that you can make these parentheses also over here, and it would still be an array. However, you cannot give the array bounds over here. If you try to give the length of your array over here, you will get an error. So you'll have to entirely move it from here, and you'll have to place it with the name of the array. Now, the Visual Studio is giving us another error, which is that we cannot declare a fixed array with the values of the array. To fix this error, we simply move the initialization on a separate line. So we have now specified over here that our car has 5 length and it can store only 5 items. And out of the 5 positions in our array, we have only occupied 2 positions, starting from the 0th index. Now, this was the case with the one-dimensional arrays. What if you wanted to create an array which had rows and columns? For that, you will use two-dimensional arrays. To create a dynamic two-dimensional array, you can simply place a comma in between, and that in itself will create a two-dimensional arrays because you have not specified the numbers, but you have specified the comma which shows the dimension of the arrays. So to initialize our two-dimensional array, we will write our curly braces in which we'll have two other curly braces. And for now, this is an empty array in which we have two empty sub-arrays. It is a two-dimensional arrays. So we will specify our bounds for this character array, which is a 2 by 2 array in which we have 2 columns and 2 rows. Our rows are these subarrays, and the intersections between these two subarrays become our columns. So let us store some characters in them. Now, what if I said that I would like to access the character C in this two-dimensional array? The method is straightforward. We just have to write the name of the array again, and then we have to look in the context of the arrays first of all. Think of it as a nest level. Whenever you will be using the index, you'll have to look in the context of the array. You can see that we have specified two indexes over here in the initialization. The same thing we'll have to do in the accessing of the array. So first of all, we would have to access the subarray in which the character C is located. You can see that the character C is in the second array. According to the zero-based index, it's the first array. So we type 1, and now we have selected this array. Now we have to see within the context of this array, where is C located? It's located at the 0th position. So we'll simply type here 0. And now if we run our console, you can see that it has output as C. Now you could also do it in this manner. This was one way of assigning the array. As I previously mentioned that you were using array literals, but you could also directly access the variable and access the array and give it the value, just like you would do with a normal variable. So if I would access the 1 row and the 0th column, I can assign it the value C in the similar manner, and the console will also output a C again. However, this way is inefficient and it would be better if you would use array literals. Now we could also use three-dimensional arrays. You will find three-dimensional arrays most commonly in 3D games where you are required to make 3D coordinates. So to create a three-dimensional array, we'll have to specify another index in our declaration statement, which can be any number. We'll have a 2 by 2 by 2 array of characters, which means we have an array which has the 2 rows multiplied by 2 columns multiplied by 2 layers. So we'll just extend this in this manner. This is our first layer in which we'll specify another layer in which we'll specify another layer. This is the 3-level deep nested array, and we'll do the same thing for the another array. And now you can see we have no errors because first of all, our major array is containing 2 arrays as mentioned here. We have 2 arrays in our major array, which is this array and this array. Secondly, these sub-arrays are also containing two arrays themselves, which becomes this index over here. You can see each are containing two arrays. Then finally, our most nested array is having two elements each, which are the AB, 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 and AB over here. So we'll change the values and we'll try to access one of them. Now, suppose I would want to access the letter E over here. We will take the same approach of looking by the context. And now I would like to first of all go level by level into each of the array. First of all, I would look into this context and check where is this array located. I can see that it's in the first position. So I'll type the first index over here. Then I'm going one more level deep. So I'll check within this context where this array is located. I can see it's in the 0th index. So I'll type 0 over here. Lastly, I would see where is E located in this deep level nested array, which is again in the 0th index. So I'll type here 0. You can see we have typed out three indexes to access the letter E. Run our program, we'll get our letter E.